This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
It is a wonderful modality that supports many people going through some physical challenges. And it has been proven over not just decades, but I am going to say centuries, a century and a half, as a matter of fact, where the Alexander technique was developed and is still in wide use today. Interestingly, ever since I got together with him, our professional here on these podcasts, I'm hearing it more and more. And maybe I did hear the Alexander technique and wasn't even aware of it, but now I am. People are talking about it. People are writing us with questions. He is a neuromuscular and rehab specialist, and he's back with us. He's an expert on the Alexander technique. Travis Chastain on the program. How are you doing today?
Steve, I'm great. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Happy stress-free, tension-free New Year, if we can.
Well, let's go with that. Yeah, but happy joy even through the stress. Let's go through that.
Love that. Joy, the highest vibration there is, even higher than love. Hard to believe, but
life's going to come at us, friend, one way or the other.
So how about we start with some emails that we've gotten from listeners and viewers last time we got together. And you can always reach us, instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. We've got Marcus from Atlanta who says, I heard that this technique works for performers and speakers who rely on their bodies and voices. How does the Alexander technique help musicians, actors, or public speakers manage performance anxiety, tension, and endurance over time? I am a singer and very interested in learning more.
Yeah, it's a great question. I'd say it starts with one word: listening. All right. And with us musicians, we get very attuned to listening, perhaps to the sound of our voice and stuff like that. But what about listening to the quality of our thoughts in the midst of performing, right? And listening to how our body is responding to that high note when we're giving it, or listening to how the body's responding when we are giving that speech or that keynote in this moment or that moment, right? Ultimately what the technique is about is getting connection with the trapped energies within our bodies that is preventing the true, the authentic, and the effortless from coming out, right? The technique comes from the a priori assumption. In other words, the assumption that it's meant to be easy. And if it's not easy, what is it about how I'm interacting with that thing that's preventing it from being so? Right? How's my neck responding when I sing right there? What kind of tensions am I bringing into my neck, into my head, into my back when I'm doing that activity? What thought did I give right before engaging that led to that tension that I'm perceiving in my neck? The recognition of the connection, the inescapable connection, and perhaps the powerful connection between thought, body response. That's always going to be present there, right? So all that we're doing is, okay, well, how am I getting into the way of my own excellence? I'm already excellent. How am I getting in the way of the inner genius that's already there?
I have so many questions.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay. Is that tension, that anxiety, that trauma really there, or is it perceived?
Well,
I know that's a deeper one, but I wonder, in other words,
Perhaps it's because we perceive it, we make it real.
is it all in our head?
Yeah, I'll give you a practical example. Something that we've probably all experienced in our life is that there seems to be a little bit of this interesting thing that happens is that, especially as performers, we know this. The harder I try to do this phrase right, play this musical phrase, or the harder I try to convey the right tone in a speech, for example, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
We've probably all witnessed in our lives that we've gone down that route, that mental road of really, really pursuing the right way of doing it. And what tends to happen is that, well, not only do we not get it right, we get it spectacularly wrong.
Mm.
And this is the thing that FM Alexander was noticing for himself, is that the only thing that the attempt to be right was getting him was getting him his familiar automatic tension responses in his body. The paradox is that the harder you try to be right, the more right is elusive. The more you let go of attempting to be right in the motion, the activity, giving the right response comes out automatically, right? So it's not very useful to think about being right. Why? Can you define what that is in something as specific and complicated and meaningful as the task of performing on a musical instrument or singing or doing anything that approximates that close to the divine?
Mm.
You see, that's the problem with right. You can't define it appropriately. You can't put parameters on it. It's kind of out there lurking in the ether. It's out there. I don't know what right is, but I'll know it when I see it. It doesn't give you any ground to move towards, right? But you can definitely know and notice when you're going wrong. And that's a far more constructive path to go down. I don't know how the right way to move is that I don't have that tension in my shoulder that's causing me all this agony. I don't know that movement. But I do know that when I tighten my neck, that can't be helping matters. So why don't I start with learning how to not do that in the activity and see what happens? See, that's something constructive that we can pinpoint, that we can nail down.
Would you say that if somebody is even aware that they've got tension in their neck or wherever before they deliver something? And by the way, I just want to share with everyone, you are a classical guitarist and had issues back in the day, and that, from my memory, kind of led you down the path of learning this technique and sharing it with others. Would you say that somebody is halfway there when they're even aware that they're holding tension or they feel a certain this or a certain that in their neck or shoulders or wherever?
It's a certainly useful beginning point. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't eliminate the problem of end gaining, what FM called this. He called this term end gaining. And that's the problem of trying to be right in the activity, essentially.
How do you define right in the activity? Because I see it as a classical guitarist. I'm going to play a selection of songs and they're going to sound a certain way. And in my mind, and my timing is going to be on point and the audience is going to be receptive. To me, that would be being right. Is that would that be the definition of?
I mean, it can be. I mean, that's again part of the problem is it has
subjectionable.
It's subjective. Yeah. It doesn't have an objective definition. Right. it's beyond that in a way, right? But
Some people may be saying, just as long as I can get up on that stage and play 5 songs and everybody's happy, I'm good.
well, yeah, but like I know from my own experience that I would go up there and play 5 songs and everybody was happy, but I wasn't happy. I was miserable. I was so anxious.
Mm,
I had this chronic anxiety over it, and it just kept building and building and building, right? And that anxiety wasn't just an emotional tension, it was a physical tension.
sure.
Right? But I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't know it was possible to just think differently and that you can really get yourself around it, right? But you know, here's a practical example. Like, we know like from sports psychology that if a linebacker, for example, is trying to tackle a running back on the open field, and he focuses on tackling the running back instead of focusing on the means by which you tackle the running back. In other words, to tackle the running back, you have to make sure that your heels are really planted, you're grounded, you focus on your technique, not the person. And you see it all the time, like, and you can probably sense it too. It's like, oh yeah, that guy was focusing on the running back instead of himself
Mm,
because he whips, right? He, instead of being present in his own body, he was present to an external circumstance that he was trying to control. And in essence, that's what FM meant when he coined this term end gaining. Instead of being present within yourself, you're fixating on an external thing in which you're trying to control. And it doesn't matter whether that external thing is, I'm trying to control the quality of my sound within the execution of this phrase of music, or I'm trying to control the outcome of the tone I'm conveying in this speech. It doesn't matter what it is you're trying to control external to yourself. The implication to your body always when you go there, in other words, going into end gaining, trying to control the external thing directly, what comes about always is an excessive, undue contracting of the body that severely impacts the function and performance and coordination of the body in the moment.
mm.
Fact. Which comes back to why FM always said the right movement moves itself. You don't move the right way. You allow the right movement to move through you. Your job is to get out of its way. Your job is to notice how you're interfering with that right movement. That's your job. That's the means whereby, right? That's the tackler. That's the linebacker not getting focused on tackling the running back, but be easy, limber, and secure in your legs and execute the motion. And if you execute the motion, you put yourself in the best chance of success. That's what you want to focus on. What is the means by which gives me the best opportunity to succeed in this moment in a way that's reiterable over time? See, that's the definition of true success. I succeeded a lot playing the instrument and making other people happy while I was miserable. And I was miserable because I wasn't making it about me and my centeredness. I was making it about impressing or making an impression.
Mm. Mm.
Right? And that was an interference that became a block.
Yep.
A real physical holding that over time choked me of the life of my arm.
And one would think that you're going out there to perform. You're there for a reason. You have musical skills.
Yes.
So one would think, just go out there and enjoy and play.
Yes.
But no, we, sophomorically put, can't get out of our own way.
Well, yeah, and we lose the beginner's mind. And I think that's what happens to us when we become professionals. It's a devastating thing to become a professional.
Mm, mm. Well, it's expectations now.
I mean,
That it went from this is fun to there's expectations because I
Yeah,
am a professional. Maybe I'm being compensated.
right.
Would you say, and it's been said for decades, that one of the biggest fears that people have in life is performing or
Mm,
just being in front of people.
yeah,
It's like a death sentence for many. It's like the top three fears in life.
yeah.
Would you say that using this technique can help you overcome some of that
Oh,
fear, anxiety,
yeah,
and the
absolutely.
jitters and all that stuff that comes along with it?
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
it's really, I can tell you from my own practical experience, it's really almost the only word that adequately describes it is rather miraculous. It's like, I mean, I'm feeling nervous, but it doesn't seem to be impacting me anymore. Because, see, the thing that the Alexander technique is very, very strong on its emphasis on is stop focusing on your emotions and focus on your thinking. Stop focusing on the feeling in your body and focus on how you're thinking.
Mm.
The thinking changes those feelings over
Sure.
time. The thinking changes the reactivity in your body over time, which then re-educates the way you feel in the moment. Right. So, when you're a lot more open in your body, for example, and you get under a stress of performance, what tends to happen in that moment when you're prepared, when you've really prepared, is the stress becomes an amplifier to your success
Hmm. Hmm.
rather than a detriment. And you see, that's the thing is that, that stress, it moves us in one direction or the other according to the habits of tension in which we chose to carry for moment and moment and moment of the preparation leading up to the critical moment. If you spent a lifetime of dedication to process, right, and many people have talked about this outside of the Alexander technique. Kobe Bryant comes to mind the deepest for me. His commitment to process is that when you're really about that, and you could care less about the outcome in this moment because you know that the outcome is already achieved for you. Now, I read this quote from FM. It was fantastic. It's like, okay, you're wanting this effortlessness, you're wanting this ease in how you do this or that. Imagine that it's already yours. Now, you might not have it today, you might not have it tomorrow, but it's yours. Now, how are you getting in the way of it right now in this moment?
Hmm.
How are you thinking right now that's leading to that, right? It comes back to that always is like, what are you thinking about right now? Ah, you're end gaining. Ah, I got concerned about that one little note there. Because I got concerned mentally about that one note, my mind went away from my body and away from how I was being.
Yep.
Therefore, my body lost its optimum coordination. Therefore, I flubbed for a moment, my friend.
And look what happens when down to you're in your head. So now you're in your head. You
Oh,
have one feeling of fear, anxiety. Now you have stomach jitters. Now you've got this. Now you've got that. I want to pivot, if we may, to a
sure.
question from Lena in San
Yeah.
Francisco. Says, with kids and teenagers spending more time on screens and carrying heavy backpacks,
Yeah.
do you see benefits to introducing the technique to somebody who is younger? And what might that look like in a practical sense?
That's a great question. I have to come back to the history. That was actually FM's one of his greatest dreams, is he dreamed of bringing this as a point of integration into education because we know for a fact that if you're effortlessly upright, when you're sitting, for example, that you learn and retain information so much better than if you're in a held upright posture or a contracted position, which is one and the same. They're both the same problem,
Hmm.
right? But if you're in effortless ease in your uprightness, for example, you just learn a lot better because you're in a place of what they call homeostasis, right? You're in a place of safety That's what your body's telling your mind, and you're open for business to learn and learn to your optimum capacity, right? And so, yes, the technique is an educational method primarily about how we're using ourselves in this moment or that moment in response to the stimuli of life. So in the case of the question that she asked, yeah, you got this heavy backpack and this insipid computer in front of you that you're looking at.
Mm.
Well, but it's the same thing as you're sitting to look at that computer screen. Well, how are you using yourself in the act of sitting, and what are you thinking about in this moment? Are you with yourself, or are you out in that computer screen thinking about whatever it is that's coming up, right? So, in the practical sense, what we're learning always how to do is make the best of the situation that you're in, whatever that situation is. Make it about you. Make it about using and being as easy as we can within that situation. Noticing how we're thinking that's either optimizing our freedom or the opposite of that. Giving ourselves the opportunity to always come back to ourselves and let learning learn itself, so to speak. Let the right movement move itself, right? Like get in contact with, okay, well, what is my neck doing in response to this heavy backpack that I'm in? How can I think about this? Now, in regards to that, you probably need lessons from an Alexander Technique teacher about, hey, bring your backpack in and let's talk it out. Let's see how we can do that, right? But absolutely, you can use the technique to empower your head, neck, and back relationship in response to a backpack or in response to a computer, right? Just by, again, switching the attention. We're just not in the habit of being attentive to ourselves. I wasn't. I don't think any of us are habitually attentive to ourselves, right? And it's just learning how to be. It's actually not that, it's pretty simple.
Is it a way of life for you now, Travis, where you're aware of your movement or what could potentially be a blocked movement?
Yeah.
It just comes out. It's just normal for you now.
Yeah, it's just how I am. I can't help but think of my free neck before I respond to you, right? And that's where we
I
want to
can't
be
help but
because
think about how my shoulder is killing me today. And I don't know why.
well, come on, man. We need to work on that. We'll work on that next time
You
with
know
you. We're
what?
friends.
Here's the thing. We mentioned that a
Uh,
while ago, and I thought it was like a rotator cuff thing. I went for one session of physical therapy, kind of a waste of
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And now, yesterday, I wake up and to raise my arm over my head right there, I
Uh,
got to believe it's connected to whatever I
yeah.
had, slept funny, didn't do anything physical. It was New Year's weekend. I wasn't doing anything.
Oh, I can promise you, it can be something that's going down in your abdomen and your pelvis, my friend. I can't tell you how many times I've had to let go there before I could move up here really effortlessly. I can't tell you how many times,
I
but
don't doubt that for a second. And even I tried to, test it a little bit, and I would just,
uh,
press on my neck somewhere. It's like, all right, does it still
uh,
hurt the
uh,
same? Oh, it feels
uh.
different, or do that, whatever. But I agree with you. It's not usually the spot that is giving you trouble.
Yeah, can you turn 90 degrees to the right real quick?
90
I just want to
degrees.
see. Yeah, yeah. Let me
So
just see you.
my whole body or just my head?
Yeah, your whole body. I just want to see something real quick.
Just like this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Come on back, please. Yeah. So, if you want, text me your number. I'll give you some information, my friend. And you need about 3 inches of book for this to be really effective. I'll explain all that to you.
What do
And
you mean? 3 inches of book?
we'll talk about that offline, my friend. If you want. So
You
that
mean
just
go
goes on too long.
like
Uh, so
all I
okay.
can tell you is it's been going on for
So you see
wow.
these, yeah, these books right here. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
one of the things that we do, and this is one of the biggest things that's helped me in my life, is we do these things called constructive rests, where you rest on books around that height. And for you, I think you need about 3 inches a book. right? The nice thing about books is they're soft enough so that they don't hurt you, but they're firm enough so that they don't give to your habits attention. So that's one of the things that's problematic about pillows, for example. They give and they contort to your habits attention, and then you don't feel rested or recovered.
So
right?
two things here. Two things. When I saw the
Yeah.
books, my first thought was, I have to read 3 inches of books. Like, oh my gosh, I thought this technique was pretty easy. No, and it is, and not what I thought. And
Yeah, it's
I
super
have
small
been
back here.
pillow shopping.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know we all
funny you
do.
should say that.
Yeah.
Because I have some pillows I bought a while back, and I figured they're getting old, and I wanted to replace them, but I don't even know if they're the right ones. I'm gonna say it's my sleeping position and the pillow. I'm not even kidding. I bet you it is.
It's part of it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But text me and I'll give you some constructive rest. Use about 3 inches of book underneath your head, and I'll bet you that you'll start to really feel a lot better by listening to them.
Final question, not about me, but this illustrates what it is and how it works. Do you mean
No.
to sleep on the books?
Oh, no, 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 no. It's a conscious constructive rest that you do for about 15, 20 minutes, right? You listen to a guided tour, let's say, of how to think in a way that starts to optimize your coordination
Gotcha.
in a place that's really simple, like lying down, right? So as you learn the principles of the technique in a place that's really simple, and it starts helping you open up your body for yourself in a place that's really simple, right? So one of the most powerful things that ever happened to me was learning that I could lie down before a practice session.
Hmm.
And I feel the creaking of this shoulder that I'd learned to hold so much tension in, right? And it was creaking because it was opening up, because my whole back was releasing out and up. It was flowing, it was changing, it was releasing. It was coming back to its original shape, just simply because here I am listening to, here's a different way of thinking while you lie down that's conscious, that's constructive, that's aimed at, from thought to thought to thought, positively changing that postural tone in your whole head, neck, and back relationship.
Mm.
And taking that pressure off of those joints. And that's what we experience. We're experiencing undue pressure. And this is a way of learning how to get rid of that. So, going back to the kids and the teenagers, there's nothing better than pre-homework. Go lie down for 15 minutes and do a constructive rest. You're going to get so much done so much faster.
Yeah.
And you're going to retain so much more information because you're in a place of homeostasis when you're engaging with it, instead of a place of fatigue and reactivity.
Teens have their buds in their ears anyway. Here, listen
Yeah.
to this, and you may feel a whole lot better.
Yeah.
This has been very every time we get together, it's insightful, especially here. And I didn't mean to bring me up, but that made things much even further clear as to how easy this can be to alleviate some of the discomfort we have. And I mean, that's just a starting point. Wow. How do we connect with you? What's the best way?
Find me at my website, my friend, www.bodymindbalanceco.com. I got my contact page there. I look forward to hearing any questions that you have.
Fantastic. By the way, also, you can reach out, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. If you have a question for Travis. I'm getting books ready. I'll be in touch.
Be in touch, friend. Looking forward to it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.